Good morning. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. My name is Darian Jones. I'm the Caregiver Education and Digital Specialist at Care Partners. We're back this morning with a Hot Topic live segment. Today we're going to be covering different things that you should be thinking about before downsizing. We have a very special guest, Mary Anderson from Get Organized, or All Organized, my bad, All Organized, is here today to share and talk about this really important topic. In just a few minutes, we'll go ahead and get started, but real quick, just want to let you guys know that Care Partners is offering a ton of online resources right now, and you can find all of that on our website. Our website is www.carepartnerstexas.org. We're doing the Common Ground support group twice a week. You can find that under the Common Ground section on our website. We're also doing several different expressions of the gathering place. So you can do a downloadable in-home guide. There's the different activity calendars. And there's also, now we're offering the Zoom gathering place, gathering at your place. You can find all this information online. And the theme this week, so we're trying to do themes every week to get you guys involved at home. We love hearing from you and know what you guys are up to. This week, we want to hear all about your pets. So you can share your photos or your videos or just your stories about your pets with us at info@carepartnerstexas.org. We'd love to hear from you, so just let us know what you're up to. And I think that's everything for now. And so with that, I'm so excited for this topic today. I'm going to introduce our speaker, and that's Miss Mary Anderson. Hi, how are you doing today?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited that you're here. I've been meaning to get in touch with you guys for a long time for one of these segments. You guys are basically the experts in organizing and decluttering and everything that you need to know about moving and downsizing and all of that. So I'm going to let you talk about yourself for a second and just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Mary Anderson, co-owner and organizer for All Organized. My business partner, Elizabeth Strauss, and I started this company a little over 3 years ago with the plan and the goal to help people clear tension out of their homes and their lives by getting very intentional about the things that they keep in their homes. And while we were doing that, our clients that we were helping with more traditional organizing kept calling us and saying, hey, can you help my mom or my dad or my great aunt Mildred needs to move into a senior community. Can you help them organize and downsize? And so I have a background in logistics in my career, and my business partner is one of those naturally organized folks where everything like fits in a certain space. And with our powers combined, we realized that it made a lot of sense for us to move into what's called senior move management. And that's where we help seniors make active choices for what they're choosing to keep in their lives as they go to a different size home, whether that be into a community like independent living, assisted living, or memory care, or whether that just be to a one-story house where they're not having so much upkeep. What I love about what we do is we get to help people understand that this transition gets to be fun. It doesn't have to be sad. It doesn't have to be heartbreaking. And some people fear that, but you're getting for the first time in your life to actively choose what you want, like what you want your space to look like. What you want your space to feel like. Our goal in our process, we work very quickly. It's usually a 3 to 5 day process from initial pack up and declutter to the house is cleared and we're handing over an empty house to the real estate agent. But in that process, we are working through what makes sense to live in your life now. And then what do we do with all the things that don't make sense anymore? So those are some of the things that we're going to talk about today.
That's great. And I'm so excited to get into it. Real quick, I wanted to let everyone know I'm going to put a link to a handout that you're going to be referencing. So if you guys want to follow along, so if everyone at home wants to follow along, you can check that in the comments. And with that, I feel like we can just go ahead and get started.
Okay, awesome. So I just want to talk about some tips, some things that you can do even on your own just to get started. Even if you're not planning to move, anytime soon, or if you're not planning to downsize anytime soon, these are just really great tips to consider as we move through life, right? So when we're seniors, when we get to this wonderful moonlight kind of stage, we have the accumulation of all the things that have occurred, right? We have the children's toys, we have the sometimes the remnants of work that was brought home. I've worked for a lot of engineers that have old engineering ideas still tucked away in file cabinets and things. So, what do we do with those things? It feels really overwhelming when you do decide to move and you look around and you're like, how will I ever conquer this? Well, the first step is to start small. I highly recommend one drawer, one cupboard at a time. What that looks like, if you're a person that likes to have a plan or a goal, is you can actually take Post-it notes and you number them 1 through whatever. And one Post-it note is for one door or one cupboard. And you kind of go through one by one each day or each week or whatever your timeline is, and you only work on that one Post-it note. So you open door number 1, and you only work in that space. What in here is surplus? What in here do I actually need? A great question to ask yourself is, instead of do I want this thing, is do I need this thing? And if you're still kind of feeling the maybe game a little bit, then ask yourself, when was the last time that you used it? Sometimes, whenever we're looking at things like, I recently had a conversation with a client about a turkey platter that she had used for many, many years. She's just turned 85, and she got married when she was 20, and this turkey platter was a part of that original wedding gifts, and she served many a Thanksgiving on this turkey platter. But she hasn't served Thanksgiving in the last 15 years. So that turkey platter's been sitting, wrapped up in bubble wrap up in the top of the cupboard. And she really didn't want to let it go. And I'm like, okay, so it doesn't make sense in your new space because she was moving somewhere she didn't have a kitchen. So what if we gift it to somebody in the family that is now taking on the tradition of cooking the turkey, right? And so we actually made a kind of an event out of that process. So she actually wrote this beautiful letter to her granddaughter, who is now the one that's hosting Thanksgiving, wrote this beautiful letter talking about the years with the turkey platter and the things that she remembered about it and the time that she burnt the turkey and all those sorts of things, put it with the item, and then gave it to the granddaughter. And so now the onus of the turkey platter and serving the family is on the granddaughter. And it has freed her up, and writing the letter is what gave her the most fluidity to say goodbye to it. So that's step number 1, right? Is start small and get really clear on what makes sense for where you're living. Step 2, documentation. Folks of a certain age have a tendency to hold on to paper documents because there was a time when getting paper records was really difficult and challenging. If you needed a receipt reprinted or whatever it was, you had to write a letter and send it off and wait for a response. And so it made sense that documentation was harder to come by, and you didn't have as much of it. Right now, you go to CVS and you buy a toothbrush and you get a foot-long thing of paperwork, right? A lot of it's just unnecessary. So with documentation, the first step is you want to make sure that you gather your vital records first. Birth certificates, death certificates, marriage certificates, life insurance policies, wills, trust, any of the legal things. You want to make sure that you have those collected and they're all in a safe place before you start sorting through other paperwork. The reason that we suggest that is because it builds your confidence. If you know that the important things are in a safe spot, it builds your confidence as you go through the long-standing piles. The second part of that tip is you do want to start with the oldest pile. So if it's a pile of mail that's been there for a long, long time, start there. It's very likely that everything in that pile is going to be a quick toss to the bin because it's dusty, it's old, it's probably past date. I love it when I open a box of mail that somebody never got a chance to go through and it's like 5 years old. Really good chance that most everything in there just needs a quick one glance and throw it away. Third step would be pictures. I don't make a lot of friends when I say this, but please hear me out. It's okay to throw away photographs, particularly photographs that are triplicates, quadruplicates. I always think about this school pictures, like when your kids would, or your grandkids even, would go and get pictures taken at school and they have the 8x10 and the 3 5x7s and the 3x5s and the 20 million wallets. And you gave them all out, but still you're left with a whole packet full for every grade, multiple seasons throughout the year, right? Well, it's okay to keep one of them and throw the rest away. A lot of times people will say, oh, but it's not that much. It's just, it's flat paper. But the truth of the matter is that those things really do add up. So keep one of the pictures and throw the rest away. If you're looking at pictures and they're blurry, scenic photos and you don't recognize the place, or if you don't recognize the people and no one else seems to, it's okay to throw it away. It's all right. It was a moment in time. It's insignificant to the long-term goal, right? It's okay to throw photos away. When you're moving through your house and you're trying to decide, if you are specifically moving and you're trying to decide like what to hang on the walls, It's okay for pictures, especially of children, because as children age and grow, right? Like their pictures get dated very fast. So it's okay if you go around your house and you decide, I want to keep these pictures, but I don't necessarily want them to be in frames. Go ahead and deframe them. And that way you can have them chronicled together in an organized fashion in a tote or a bin in a way that you can look at them later on if you would like, but they're not necessarily taking up as much space being in the frames. Another step that I really enjoy is it's the surplus step. So what that means is if you are in the process of moving, and say you have a 5-bedroom or a 4-bedroom or a 3-bedroom home, and you're only moving into a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom, well, it's apparent that you have surplus, right? You have surplus bedroom sets, you have surplus everything from those extra rooms. So starting in those spaces, go into that room and shop it. Okay, I know this sounds kind of strange, but when you walk into that space, kind of take a deep breath, clear your mind, and think to myself, if I were to walk into this store, what would I buy? And walk through the room in that way. And that helps kind of process the decision-making of what's necessary to keep in those surplus rooms, right? My recommendation is when you do that is to mark the things that you have chosen to keep. Because if we don't mark them when we first think about them, then we're continuing to make the same decision again and again, which tires us out because we forgot what we thought originally. So your knee-jerk reaction, your gut thinking is usually the best in these situations. So take your piece of painter's tape, take a Post-it note or a sticker, whatever it is, and if it's the thing that you're keeping, mark it. If you're doing this process with family members or your adult children, and they're trying to decide what things they want, especially if there's multiple children and someone says, oh, I want X, if you come to an agreement right then, put that person's name on the furniture immediately. Because what happens is whenever all the decisions are coming at once, we forget. We forget who said they wanted that thing, and then we're going back and having to ask again and again. So the most important thing is to keep your decision-making down. Making surplus decisions, making extra decisions again and again, make us tired. So just try to make it straightforward. Think about your future self as you're walking through this process. And lastly, this tip is about duplications. So with duplications, we see it a lot in kitchens. So when you go into your kitchen, think about firstly, how often do you actually prepare food? How often are you entertaining, right? So when you go through your kitchen, how many measuring spoons do you need? Or measuring spoon sets, I should say. How many measuring cups do you need? Generally, we find between 3 and 5 of each. Unless you're baking in an industrial way, then you may not need all of those. So like those are quick things that can be cut down. When you're getting rid of your duplications, an important thing to note is there are lots of donation facilities that would love those items, particularly household goods. We donate those items to women's shelters because it is helping start a homestead for a woman who is trying to change her life, removing herself and her family from abuse and neglect. So what a great way to walk into a new life is if you have the tools that you need to live successfully, right? So the surplus spoon set, the surplus measuring cups, the surplus mixing bowls will really serve someone else very, very well. There's no sense in hanging on to it if it's taking up unnecessary space in your own home. And lastly, is celebrate. You definitely want to celebrate this opportunity, particularly if you're moving into a senior community. Or if you're moving into, we had a client recently that's moving into a mother-in-law's quarters. It's the pool house at her daughter's house has just been reformatted to fit her. It's like this little tiny house and it's so cute. It's so precious. And, you know, although she was leaving the house that she lived in for 40 years, it's just such a wonderful opportunity for her to start completely fresh. And when you move into a community, you get to find a whole new group of people. New interests, new hobbies, things to look forward to. So just celebrate those moments. Like my client with the turkey platter and the letter, if something calls to you that feels really like a heavy decision to make, or if there's a lot of memories in an item or a piece of furniture, write it out. Kind of expressing and emoting your feelings on that help you decide how to let go of it. But when we're trying to think through a decision with all the emotions on top of our head, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So celebrate the time that you lived in the space you're in and celebrate the opportunity that you have to go to the next phase. you there, Darian?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I was trying to get the button. Yeah, it doesn't look like we had any comments come in, but you touched on so many great things, and I was just sitting listening, and I'm one of those people that loves pictures. I have a lot more of my pictures digital now, but my mom also she has boxes and boxes and boxes of pictures, and she was a crafter. So she had a whole craft room, and my dad was also military, so we moved a ton. So we were doing the moving and the what's the most important thing to take with us type thing every few years. So yeah, it's hard to make those decisions. It's really tiring, like you were saying.
It totally is. And the thing with pictures, especially if you are kind of like the family historian, it feels very burdensome to have to go through them all. But I highly recommend, especially during isolation orders like this, a picture project is the perfect project to have, is to go through and sort them by known people. So like, if child A, child B, if you separate the pictures by like the focus of the picture, then it's a much easier giveaway. That way you don't have to throw them away. You can give them away. Child A, hey, here's all the pictures from your adolescence or your childhood, and then let them decide what to do with it, right? Some kids want stuff, some kids don't. And the important thing to remember is that if they don't, it's their choice. It's their life. You're just giving the opportunity for them to take it on.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hard things for me is it's the memories attached to the things. And so I feel it a lot where it's hard to get rid of things, but I know it's so important to the decluttering thing. And I was thinking now it's a great time to work on those kinds of things.
Absolutely.
I loved your tip too about just finding the one room and just focusing on one area and working on that and then moving on to something else and turning bigger projects into smaller projects.
Yeah, because the way the brain works is that if something feels too lugubrious, if something feels too challenging or too daunting, then we get this decision fatigue very quickly. And all of a sudden we're in this worse before better where we've pulled everything out of the closet and we're like, I would rather go do anything else, like go have a root canal. All of a sudden you like just want to walk away. So if you take the bite sizes, it helps you make more progression. And then you build confidence as you make decisions.
Yes, I definitely feel that. The getting just overwhelmed. I see something and I'm just like, I just don't even know where to start sometimes. So can you, real quick, can you tell us just a little bit more about what are some of the things that maybe people don't know about senior move managers?
Yeah, first of all, most people don't know that it's a thing, that it's an actual job, and it's a big job. So what our process looks like is we come into someone's home and we do a consultation. In that consultation, we discuss a little bit about how that person lives in their home currently and what their plans are. Like, where are you moving to? Why are you interested in that? Sometimes people are moving because they have a different need for care, like moving into an assisted living perhaps or memory care. And sometimes people are moving because they've lived alone. Their partner or their spouse has died, and they're just looking for the sense of community and being around people. So we want to, when we walk through the home during the consultation, we want to get a good feeling of the curation. Somebody has spent their life building the feeling of this house. And so we want to take the important elements, highlights of that, and just transfer it to a smaller square footage. So I can actually show you. After we do, in a consultation, we take measurements of furniture, and then we build something kind of like this. This is a floor plan, where this is the place that they're moving into, and this is the furniture that really matters to them. And so we made sure that it fit in all the areas and all the spaces. This person has a best friend that lives in Columbus, Ohio, and comes and visits for 4 months a year. So her second bedroom needed to be a bedroom for this friend. Where we have other clients that they have a 2-bedroom, but it makes more sense for the second bedroom to be an office. Or it makes more sense for the bedroom to be a craft room. So that's the second part. And then from there, we then schedule our organizing teams to come in, and we do a organized pack up and a declutter simultaneously. Our goal is to be efficient. So we don't want to touch something more than one time. I know, sounds crazy, right? Ohio, only handle it once. So when we're working in, say, a closet, and we play the game called Keep or Goodbye, the things that you decide to keep are the things that are moving with us. And so they then get assigned a tote that then is assigned the place where it's going to go in the end result, and it gets stacked and sorted accordingly. So on move day, things get put on the truck in the right order and get taken off the truck in the right order. So things are only touched one time, and it's much more efficient. So we do the load up of the truck and the unload of the truck and the unpack and new home setup all in the same day. Generally, by happy hour, you are 95% unpacked, where your bed is made, your kitchen is set up, your bathroom is exactly the way that you had it before. Usually we can even get artwork hung up and kind of get those last minute like home feeling touches completed. So instead of living in your new space in boxes for weeks at a time, or fretting over, if I need to move something here or there, you're set up so that you can start to experience your new environment and enjoy it. And hopefully feel like you're a little bit at home. You have some of that familiar element to it, because again, our main goal is to take the curated life that you've built and just transfer it to a smaller square footage.
Yeah, that was so cool with the little graphic and everything. Just the planning and the thoughtfulness that goes into it all is really, really, really cool.
We get really geeky about it.
Yeah.
Nerds about like, how can we make all of this fit and make it look the way that they had it before? So.
And that's such an important skill. Because I told you I've moved so many times, my family have moved. And so just the unpacking and getting everything, it can definitely be overwhelming. And so I think one really important thing that we'll leave everyone with this, that if you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed or just don't know where to start, there are people to help. And with that, also, I'm going to make sure I put your contact information up on the screen again. So if you guys have any other questions or want to get in touch with All Organized, here's their website address and also their phone number. It's a really great resource, and there's some really lovely ladies over there. So thank you so much, Mary, for joining us today and sharing and just helping us with all of those great tips.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It was great. And then everyone at home, again, just thank you guys for tuning in. And we'll be back soon with some more hot topic resources. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.